that really any way to treat someone that's been nothing but helpful to you? What do you mean? I was perfectly nice. Now let me in. It's awkward standing out here talking to a door. Ah, that's better, don't you think? Ah, this place is pretty nice too. Well, you didn't say I could come in, but you also didn't say I couldn't. Plus, you look like you can handle yourself just fine. If you really wanted me to leave, I don't doubt you could bring me to the floor. It's a really nice place you have here. You know, I'm kind of impressed. The apartments here aren't cheap. Well, things have been pretty busy around here. But I'm sure you know exactly how busy it's been. Well, I say that because word on the street is you've been disturbing more and more of people's businesses, not just mine. Getting into people's hair, ruffling some feathers. That's what I've heard from my regulars. Yeah. Word spreads fast. Which part of it isn't true? Really? You left on your own? You weren't in the middle of questioning someone you believed was up to no good. They found out, grabbed a knife, and started swinging. Then 3 other customers got up to engage while you had to make a run for it. Because that's the version I heard. People do exaggerate, that's for sure. Well, either way, we've both been busy. I see you haven't even finished unpacking all these boxes. What's in these anyway? Why can't I touch it? Oh, you think I can't handle something fragile? No, I'm pretty good with my hands. You know, I actually have a very light touch. Whatever precious things are in here, I'll be gentle enough not to break them. Oh, so it's top secret. Okay, I understand. Of course. Everyone has something they don't want others knowing about. Some even go to great lengths to keep it hidden. Me? Oh, no. I have nothing to hide. Nothing very serious, anyway. It's a personal policy to be open and honest with people. Honesty and trust are 2 things the world is lacking, so I try to make up for it by being honest and truthful. No, I don't get taken advantage of. Not very easily, anyway. Ah, you look so cute in this picture. Is this you and your family on graduation day? Ah, I see. You looked so different back then. It's no fun if I just tell you. It's something to reflect on over dinner. Well, I did promise I would take you out, didn't I? Last time we saw each other, I said I would take you out to dinner where we could talk freely. Sadly, I think the opportunity to do that has passed after you made such a big mess of things. Because you were doing the exact thing I told you not to do. You rubbed people the wrong way. Taking you out anywhere would be more trouble than it's worth. I might want to harm you, yeah. At the very least, scare you enough to stop your snooping. Which, I mean, really, does make me want to ask what you're even snooping around for. Do you remember what I told you last time about a rival family coming to poke around? How that's kind of making everyone on edge? Good. Well, that made me curious. I mean, I'm not involved in any of this, but I do have a very curious mind, and I wanted to do my own digging. Apparently, those rumors are true. Their name doesn't really matter, but there were actually a few people sent by them to poke around the locals. The interesting part is that 2 of the 3 that were sent disappeared, and the third was said to have returned home after a couple days. Yeah, most likely. I'm sure whatever is left will be found eventually, but that did leave a question unanswered. Who exactly are you and why are you here? Last time I asked, you never gave me a good answer. I thought it was safe to assume you were sent here, but considering you're here and not 6 feet under, you must be here for something else. Business? What kind of business? Private. You know I won't accept that as an answer, right? What can I say? Once I'm set on finding something out, I won't stop until I get my answer. What kind of deal? Sure, I'll tell you whatever you want. I did say that this would be an open conversation. Oh, you mean the ones that came in when you were leaving? You weren't forced out, I just didn't want you hanging around them. They can be a bit of a bad influence. But sure, I can tell you exactly who they are. The big and tall guy with a comb over is the CEO of Winston Bank. Conveniently, you can see it from here. It's that big tall building to the left with the red roof. The scrawny old man was Damien Osborne, the owner of a bakery not too far from my cafe. Yes, I'm aware both the bank and the bakery are fronts. Most places around here are, and they don't exactly hide it. Winston's headcount is pretty much public knowledge at this point. Well, no one does anything because why would they? You know how you're treated when you even start to ask simple questions. And if you think law enforcement around here is going to do anything, then, well, you'd be very naive to think so. People who are good don't want to work in a place like this. I never said I was a good person. Being honest and truthful isn't the same thing as being good. Bad is subjective, isn't it? What's good to one might be bad for another. Which makes you all the more fascinating. Yeah, fascinating. Because I can't figure out which you are for me. On the surface, you look good, smart, strong. But I knew from the second I saw you that there was something off. Something about you that you didn't want to show the world. Your secrecy doesn't help. Telling me where you work might satisfy my curiosity, but depending on the answer, might make the craving worse. Ah, so you started working for Azure Rose. Interesting. I wasn't expecting you to work an office job at a tech company. Not with the way you carry yourself. What? You think I wouldn't notice how close you got to this end table? I won't ask what's in it, but it does provide a convenient way to keep your distance from me if you needed to. You tell me why you might need to. Or maybe I am just imagining things. Well, my curiosity is satisfied enough for now. Still doesn't really answer everything. Which floor do you work on? I don't know. Might want to send you some flowers or bring you some lunch sometime. Make it easier on you so you don't have to risk life and limb to get some food. You're going to make me find that out on my own too, huh? Oh well, asking was worth a shot. Does playing cat and mouse with people ever get tiring? Well, that's what this feels like. A game of cat and mouse. Well, that's the question, isn't it? Which of us is the cat and which of us is the mouse? I think we keep changing places. Some days you're the one playing with me, and others I'm playing with you. And then there's days like today where it feels like we're both the cat, circling around each other to see what they do, and whether or not they're a threat. Hey, you tell me if I'm a threat. Although, before you answer that, if you do see me as some kind of a threat, ask yourself who it is I'm a threat to. Well, much like being good and bad, being a threat is all about perspective, isn't it? Say, for instance, someone breaks into my place of business. In that moment, they're a threat to my money and whoever is in there, depending on how they decide to go about it. At the same time, after they're gone, suddenly they aren't the threat to me or anyone else. I'm a threat to them. It's not something I would ever let go lightly. So you have to ask yourself where you fall in this case. Am I a threat to you specifically, or in general? And if I'm a threat in general, does that really apply to you? I do like talking, actually. It's fun, and you get a lot of misunderstandings out of the way when you learn to talk to people. You also get to find out a great deal about how people think from getting to talk. Don't you agree? Of course you do. It's probably what you think you're doing right now. Getting me to talk so you can find out whatever it is you want to know. Who is this mysterious, attractive, powerful man really? Why does he keep putting himself in my life when I've shown zero interest so far? And more importantly, what is he hiding behind those beautiful eyes of his? It's okay. You don't need to lie about thinking these things. Almost everyone has at some point. But I really should warn you, again, about sticking your nose into people's business here. I don't think I need to tell you, but I will anyway. The people here are dangerous. Compared to them, I'm about as far removed from being a threat as a public school teacher. You may not be afraid now, but I'm telling you, you should be. Yes, you should be afraid. Very afraid, actually. What happens when you corner a wild animal? Yes, this again. Just stick with me. What happens? Right, they get scared. Depending on the size, they either start to cower and use whatever defensive mechanisms they have to scare you off or threaten you, or worse, they'll feel like the only way to survive is to attack you, even if your intent isn't to attack at all. You actually see this in feral kittens a lot. It takes a long time to socialize something that has been pressured and scared for so long. Well, my point is the more you poke around, the more you make certain people feel like you are a threat, that you're cornering them. And the more they feel that way, the more likely they are to have an irrational, often aggressive response. Yes, I'm still trying to look out for you. Regardless of what you might think of me or what fantasies you might have about what I do, I still want to look out for you. Why? Huh. No, I'm not going to tell you. That's something you're going to have to figure out for yourself. Oh, I'm sure you can manage to figure it out. If you're even half as smart and capable as you look, you'll have no problem finding out anything you want about me. If you've been tossed into the lion's den like this, I have to assume whatever it is you do for a living is something you do very well. I can't think of anyone who would send someone weak and incompetent to work out here. That being said, I still don't think you know exactly what you've gotten yourself into. And I'm afraid that, much like last time, our time is going to be cut short. No, just regular business this time. I've been having problems with a supplier and they're finally ready to have a discussion. Did you know that importing coffee beans has been surprisingly tough lately? I had a supplier just up and disappear on me not too long ago. Oh, before I leave, there's a building outside town, directly south from here. It's an old factory, been out of use for, I don't know, probably 40 years. If you're ever bored, you should head out there and check it out. Well, if I'm correct about who you are and what you're trying to achieve here, you're going to find it very useful. If somehow I'm wrong, it's a nice part of city history. This was quite the industrial town back in the day, and it's a relic of that time. I can even show you around, give you a history lesson. What do you say? Sure. We'll set up a date and head out there. You know where you can find me to do it. I'll see you around then. Don't get into too much trouble before we get to see each other again.